I think they're soft. Not playing. Huge value. They're in there pretty much every play. They don't really have a lot of backups like that. You know, if they're in the game, they're pretty much taking every snap. So they're kind of warriors in that sense. And a lot of them are on special teams, so they're very athletic for offensive line, and I feel like they work very well together. I feel like there's not like a weak point in the offensive line. I feel like everybody kind of works well together.
Yeah, I definitely think the line controls the tempo of the game, controls how the game's going, just because their performance dictates if we can run the ball and keep the ball away from the opponent, and then if we can pass the ball effectively, protecting the quarterback. So they're a huge part of how we run as a team.
I would say that they're the complement to us, and I really like how they play the two-gap system and the three-man front. It's a really tough defense to play, and our defense does a very great job of it. And playing that defense, they basically put the linebackers in front of themselves, which is very admirable coming from us. I mean, neither of us really – I mean, obviously they get tackles and sacks and tackles for loss, but they're putting their own statistics ahead for the linebackers, which is something to admire.
So I believe there's always like a big picture thought. Coach Rocco talks about that a lot because we hardly ever scrimmage during practice. We don't cut. We don't spend a lot of time like doing things that are like twisting and torquing and unnecessary pile drives to protect each other. So you always have that mindset that we're working together as a team to get better. So sometimes here and there it'll get a little hostile, but that's just part of the game, and that's what makes it great.
Yeah, I feel like there's a mutual relationship between both of us. We're both trying to get better, and there is that fine line, which is kind of obviously, like Thomas said, we can't cut, we can't pile drive, but I mean, like, we're both working hands, we're both working to finish, and I would say this spring we did a great job. I normally go against Winston, and I think we both made ourselves better, and we were competitive at the same time.
Yeah, there's definitely a cool dynamic. The first day we always go full live scrimmage just because you have the guys that have kind of built up all this energy through the course of, just thudding people, not taking them to the ground, and that kind of all gets unleashed. So it's interesting to see if anything happens there, and emotions tend to get higher they do during the live scrimmages than elsewhere, but nothing that's ever negative to the team, nothing that's ever detrimental to our program.
I would say probably where most of the trash talking happens is maybe not in the scrimmage itself, but one-on-one pass rush or one-on-one in midfield. Sometimes you always start with the left tackle and you move across to the right tackle, and sometimes you get stuck at a spot. Maybe the left tackle end up going 3 times, and it'll basically be the best of 3. And tempers flare. There weren't any punches thrown maybe this spring, but definitely some thoughts of that.
Yeah, the pass rush is usually just pretty funny in general because it usually comes down to the best 2 out of 3 and it's like the last one, all eyes on them. So those usually get heated, but in like a funny way. You're usually laughing about it. The coaches are laughing. But at the same time, it's very serious too. And then the only time probably tempers flare, talking trash is probably during the live scrimmage. And that's just kind of, if you're like living with somebody for like your whole life, it's kind of the same situation. Like every once in a while you just kind of get tired of each other, but it's all in good fun.
I definitely think how bad the person, either wins or loses their battle in that individual situation, that kind of determines how you'll rib them or not. But, I mean, if someone just gets torn apart and it looks like that they, look like a completely different player than they should be, then, it gets kind of past the point of, all right, here's one thing you need to fix. Just kind of, dude, what are you doing? Let's go. And, maybe some more trash talk there. But, yeah, so
we had one on the D line. A couple of us had like a point system. So if you got called athletic or fast or strong, that was like a point up. But then if you got called like soft or slow or fat or something like that, you had a point taken off. So we tried to keep count of that for a while, but it kind of fell out. But
yeah,
we tried to do stuff like that, kind of keep things interesting.
Yeah. So the background story on that was it all started Rhode Island week. And for some reason, D linemen, we think, are the most athletic people on the field. Without a doubt. It's known by everyone.
I disagree.
And so Rhode Island week, their tight end decided, he blocked me and kind of into the play. He was like, dude, you're so fat. And normally I'm just too gassed during the games to say anything. I'm just heaving air the whole time. but it just kind of caught me off guard, and I was like, that's not, very nice. I'm not that fat. For some reason or another, it started this whole trend where the next week we were up against Elon, and the Elon tight end called me fat, and then a couple weeks later, in the back-to-back William & Mary games, their fullback, I think it was, on the kickoff block after, I'd spill him or whatever, boom, boom, fat, and that's where the game kind of picked up from, with all these guys that are just kind of just not involved in one way or another, all keen off the fact that they should all call me fat. So it was definitely fun.
There's the
Fun little
difference
game.
right there. Offensive linemen, we know we're fat. If we get called fat, it's almost a compliment. I can't tell you how many times in the game I've been called fat. We got more weight to move. Just going off my fat comment, I guess. If you go pound for pound, we're definitely way more athletic. I mean, look at this guy.
Yeah, and I also would say the fact that there's two positions on the field where you have to be moving backwards and be powerful, and that's offensive line and defensive back, which is kind of it's a hard. I mean, moving backwards yet being strong at the point of attack is something very hard to do. So I'd argue that's maybe the most athletic part of football. So I would say us and the defensive backs maybe could have that argument, but I don't know about the D-line.
We have to. They know what they're gonna do and what like the scheme and everything, and we don't know what they're gonna do. So we have to,
you never
we have to
move
do.
or
We have to
anything.
react and do everything according to based off their steps, and so I think that in its own is just kind of more athletic, because it's not only your body but your mind is being used too. I don't know if you can have an athletic mind. I don't know if that's the thing, but I think we're just athletic all around.
So
If minds could be athletic, ours are athletic. is
So
what
you're
it's
telling me a defense lines up in a spot and they don't move at all, never twist, never blitz?
Last
That's
year,
what
last
I-
year we didn't twist that many
we
times.
might, but it's all still reactionary based off what y'all do at the snap of the ball.
Have you tried pass blocking? Especially
Yes.
this guy?
I started 3 games O-line my freshman year.
Okay.
It wasn't that hard, Tom.
All right.
Of high school, not here. Not here.
I have no rebuttal for that.
Yeah, next question.
I think it's just funny just to look at. I think O-line and D-line together, like every play is almost like a fight almost. Like we're like can be the most serious people on the field, but at the same time like the most relaxed and like have the most fun out of anybody. Because I feel like we don't have to think as much as a lot of other positions sometimes. We kind of just get to play, and that makes it a lot more fun. Like in practice, like we're hitting. You're tired. You might get frustrated and upset with each other, but then at the same time, we're probably the ones like having the most fun, joking around the most, but still being serious. So that's kind of cool.
The worst insult I've ever received in practice was from Clyde. I think, what was it? You started it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And he decided to tell me mid-play, Tom, your credit score is 48. Now, I didn't know how to respond.
Well, because Tom's in the B school, so you have to think of something that'll hit him close to home, and
Well, I haven't been learning.
something not football enough related to actually make him like quit thinking and like just be like what for a second, and apparently his low credit score was the go-to.
It got me with that. He got in my head. There's no question.
Did he get beat on that play?
I don't remember this
I don't-
specific play.
I don't remember.
I don't know if I was on him. It was kind of just walking up to the line of scrimmage, just hey Tom, and then we ended up doing the play.